Hello friends, welcome back to another session of Kubernetes. So in our last session we are done with the pods, like how we can create the pod, how we can delete the pod, how we can enter into the pods container, and how we can create a pod using YAML file. In one pod there can be one or more than one container or more than one container can have, and by default if we are entering into the pod, it will enter into the first container that is defined in your YAML file. And if you see the log, same approach it is following to see the logs. So we all are done with the pod definition and pod working with the pod, and all those we have seen in our last session, and the status of the pod, status of the container, restart policy. So all those we are done with the with these topics in our last session. Now we will learn about the namespace. What is namespace and why the namespace is required? Okay, so namespace is nothing but just simply used for grouping. You want to group the projects. Suppose you have 10 applications and 10 applications you are deploying in Kubernetes cluster. So you want to divide those 10 projects across the teams. Suppose you have a 50 members of team, so each, and you have a 5 teams, total 50 employees are there, and 5 teams are there of each team will have 10 employees. You can just summarize like that. Suppose in your company you see 50 employees are there, and you are dividing the teams, and each team will have 10 employees. So 5 team is there, and you have a 10 projects. So 10 projects in 5 teams you want to divide. So each team will have some around 2 projects, 2 or some 2 3 something like that. So you want to divide those. How will you divide those? How will you group the projects? Suppose in one group I want 3 projects, in another group I want 1 project, something like that. So that mechanism can be done with the help of namespace. We will see through practical. So namespace is nothing but namespace used for grouping the pods. You want to group the pods in one Kubernetes cluster. We can deploy multiple applications and we can group them using namespace. Suppose 10 applications are deployed in cluster, but out of this 10 you want to group 2 application in some other group, you want 5 you want in some other group, other you want in some other groups. Okay, so that groupings you can do with the help of namespace. Okay, in another word you can say namespace provide a mechanism for isolating groups of resources within a single cluster. Suppose in single cluster, suppose you take another example. You have a one application, and that one applications you are deploying on a Kubernetes cluster, but that application you want to test first in development environment, then you want to test in testing environment, then any other second level testing like unit testing, then first level testing like is unit testing, and system integration testing. So you want to group that deployment in a separate groups. How will you do it? You can do through namespaces. And namespace by default it is required to give the namespace while creating the container or while getting the pod detail from the cluster. You need to provide, but currently we are not passing. We are just simply typing kubectl get pods. So from where it is getting the pods? It is getting from the default namespace, but namespace is required. Okay. So namespace is used for grouping the pods. Namespace name of resources need to be unique with the namespace, but not across namespaces. Okay. Namespaces cannot be nested inside one another, and each Kubernetes resource can only be in one namespace. Namespaces is it is unique. Okay. When to use multiple namespace? Namespace are intended for use in environment with many users separate across multiple teams. Namespace are a way to divide cluster resource between multiple users. Okay. So by default, following namespaces are created: default, kube node, lease, kube public, kube system. So we have seen in our installation session. After installation, we done some basic commands, so we have seen all those. I will show you that again. Okay. So the use of namespace, you can clearly understand from this diagram also. Suppose there is a master node, master or manager, you can say. We are taking name as a manager, but actually in Kubernetes we can call it as a master node also. Okay. So master node and other 3 nodes are there. Currently 3 node cluster I am taking, but it can be more than that, like that also. Okay. So in node 1, application 1, 2, 3, 4 deployed. In node 2 also application 1, 2, 3, 4 deployed. Node 3 also 1, 2, 3, 4 deployed. So you want to divide that application, like 1 and 2 application I am giving to one team A, and application 3 and 4 I want to give to team B. 2 teams are there, like 5 employees, 10 employees team is there. So application 1 and 2 I want to give team A, and application 3 and 4 I want to give to team B. So you can do using namespace. Okay, fine. So now let's do that practically, how we can use namespace. Okay, so before that one, what we need to do, we need to start our EC2 instances. Okay, let's start this. Okay, then we need to connect it here, SSH I, and okay, then we need to connect with manager node only. You just keep in mind, we no need to connect with worker 1, worker 2, not required at all. Okay, so this is running, 2 are pending, it will be get started. So let's connect this one. Okay, fine. So the very first what I am trying, I think nodes are started. Okay, so kubectl get nodes. Yes, okay, both are ready. Now I am trying to get the pod first. See, kubectl dot get, get pods. No resource found in default namespace. Yes, we are not passing any namespace. I want to give the namespace default, default. So it is giving no resource found in default namespace. You can pass that default namespace explicitly if you want, using this one, default, but not required. For default, not required. But anyway, namespace is required for the pods, because pod will be managed using namespace only by default. By default namespaces is there if you are not passing. Okay, now see how many namespaces are there. Get namespaces, name, NAMESPACE, namespace you can give, or you give namespaces, both are okay. So these many namespaces are there. Cube node lease empty, cube public empty, cube system has some pods. You can now you can get by the instead of default you can give any other. I am giving cube system, you can give cube system. Yes, these many pods are there, you see. Okay, if you want to give lease this one, so definitely this is empty and you should not use it. Okay. Yeah, see, so it's empty, is empty. You can check for other also, all are empty, all are empty. Finish for public. Okay, same problem came, but okay. So this is like the 4 default namespaces is created by your Kubernetes. Your Kubernetes is creating 4 default cube node lease, cube public, cube system. So these 4 default namespaces is created by your Kubernetes cluster, but you should not use any of them. If you are not, if you are just beginner or you are just started learning, you might use default. By default you use default, because at that time also we don't know what is namespace. So by default namespace it is using, but you should not use default also. Whenever you are working on a project and in deployment, either in a development environment or testing environment or production environment, you should go with the namespace, always your custom namespace. Whatever your team, your manager will define, you should use. Default you should not use. And these 3 are a system level, system defined, you should not use that also. Okay, fine. Let's check. Sorry, okay, it's not there. So public is not there. Fine, clear it. Now next thing, we have to create our namespace. So you can create namespace using kubectl create namespace, then give the namespace name, whatever the name you want to give, you can give it. Okay, suppose copy this, paste it and see, namespace is created. Now if you see the list of namespaces, get namespaces, you will see my namespace one namespace is created. And similarly, how can you describe the pod? You can describe namespace also. I want to describe my namespace. You can describe. See, label. This is the label. Annotation none. Status active. No resource quota. No limit range resource. Okay, fine. Yes, you can describe. If you want to describe the existing default also, you can describe any name. You can describe. Okay, fine. So you can describe like that. Any other namespace you can describe. You can create. Okay, create. Then you can delete also, but I am not going to delete because sometime it will take time to delete. You can try this one simply. Just kubectl delete namespaces. Then just give the namespace name. That's it. Namespace name you give. Delete. See here. Kubectl delete what? Namespace. Which namespace? You have to tell the name. Simple. It will delete that namespace. Okay, we will do that at last. We will do. Okay. Next, we have described, we have created, list the namespaces. Next, we have to create the pod with this namespace. Namespace 1 is there. Similarly, you can create namespace 2. If you want to create namespace 2, you can create it. Okay, now namespace 2 is also created. You see how many namespaces are there now. Your custom namespaces, 2 namespaces are there. My namespace 1, my namespace 2. Short name I am given, my ns. Ns means namespace. So my ns1 and my ns2. 2 namespaces I have created. Okay, now I want two 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 pods inside my namespace 1 and one pod inside my namespace 2. That is nothing but it is just applications only. Two applications will be inside my namespace 1 and one application will be inside my namespace 2. But currently, if you see, if you get the get pods, where is get pods using my namespace, is there any resource? Okay, let's try this command. Okay, so you see here, clear it once. So in namespace 1 and namespace 2, my namespace 1 and my namespace 2, it is telling no resource found in my namespace 2 and no resource found in my namespace 1. It means there is no pod. Let's go and create the pod. Let's go and create the pod. So just simply this command, very simple. It's nothing but kubectl run what, my pod 1, and this is the image, tech edu hub my web app 1.0. this is the image, and this is the namespace. You have to give the namespace. Okay, or else I think for small you can give n also. I'm not sure. Let's try this also. So first I am creating namespace like this. N stands for namespace. If it is then I think no need to give equal. Here it is equal is required. Namespace, you have to tell what is the namespace. This is the namespace. Okay, copy this and just simply paste. Yes, it is created. You see, pod is created inside that one. Okay, fine. Now you execute this command and you see. Okay, it's not working perfectly. What we will do now, I think in next session or in another sessions, we will use Minikube. Minikube is a single node cluster, just for testing the commands and all. That is okay. Okay, yeah, we will do that one, because like that it is okay. See, so get pods in namespace my namespace 1. It is there. My pod 1 is there in this namespace. Okay, fine. Let's go and create one more using the same. Let's check whether this command will work or yes, it is created. See, either you can use like this, the command you can use like this, my namespace. You can give namespace, full namespace keyword you can give with the help of hyphen. And if you use single hyphen and then you give the my namespace 1, namespace name, that is also fine. Okay, now check how many are there, how many pods. It should be 2 pods actually. Yes, you see, now 2 pods are there. Both are in pending state. Pending state means cube scheduler has to pick the node. And has to execute the commands. You use o wide also. Okay, very irritating. Yes, okay, let me resolve this one. Yes, so you can see now. See more details. So one pod is given to worker node 2, one pod is given to worker node 1, and this status is creating. That is okay, it will be creating. Fine. Next I want to create nginx pod, but this time I'm using namespace 2, not the namespace 1. Okay, so yes, now pod is created, and you see, if you see in pod 2, in namespace 2, not here, okay, namespace 2. So in namespace 2 you can see there is only one pod, my pod 3, but in namespace 1, how many pods are there? Two pods are there. So we have grouped the application, in our Kubernetes cluster. Now one team can work on my ns1 and one team can work on my ns2 for deployment, scaling up, scale down, whatever the task they want to do. The team, whatever is wants to do in this namespace, they will have only access for these two pods, these two applications, and the team who is working on my namespace 2 will have the access for this only. There is one application. You can add a number of applications. You can currently just for testing we are just creating 3 pods there into namespace. You can create 3 namespace, 5 namespace, whatever you want, and you can create n number of pods in that namespace. Okay, fine, that is okay. We have seen this. Deleting, we will do it. Fine. The next thing is we can create namespace using this simple line of codes also, but generally that is not recommended. You should use either YAML file, YAML or JSON file. You can also use to define any of the object definitions. Like so far we have seen mypods.yaml, and this mypods.yaml file definition is given in YAML format. But you want to use JSON, you can use JSON also. You can convert the same file definition inside JSON and you can create using JSON. Creating command is same. The command is same, like this only, kubectl create, and then you have to give -f, then file name, create JSON. Yes, simply you just have to give the name, whatever the name you want you can give it. Either extension can be YAML or JSON. You can give your object definition file in .json file, or you can give the object definition file, object definition in .yaml file, either using .yaml or .json. It's up to your choice only, but mostly YAML is used. Okay, fine. So what you can do, we have to create one YAML. Suppose my namespace.yaml, this is YAML file, and the namespace name I am giving my namespace 3. That's it. Label also give my namespace 3. That's it. My namespace 3 you want to create. Okay. Okay, so what we need to do now, we have to use this YAML file to create our namespace. For that one, what we need to do, we need to save this file. So so let's save this file from our local to EC2 instance. Okay, so my ns namespace, and simply store this file. Yeah, So file is stored here, file is stored. Fine. Okay, so the file is stored. Now let's see, the file is there. Okay, my namespace.yaml file is there. My namespace YAML, you just see the content of this file. Okay, same only my namespace 3. So how will you create, clear it and ls, then kubectl create, give the file name, file my namespace dot yml. Oh, okay. Okay, so get the namespaces. So namespace my ns1, my ns2 are there. I want to create kubectl create from this file. I want to create namespace from my ns.yml file. Yes, so it's created. So now if you see the namespaces, namespace my ns3 is there, it's created. Okay. Similarly, if you want to use JSON, this JSON file, if you want to use, you can use it. So let's check that also. Just store this one, store this file to your server. My ns.json file. We want to use JSON file. So JSON file is there. So same command only, kubectl create f, and then just you need to give the file name, which file, my ns.json file you want to use. That's it. Namespace is again created, and you can see get namespaces. So dev one namespace is there inside this my ns.json. If you see, this is your my ns.json file. In JSON file, the namespace name is dev, label is dev. That's why the namespace name dev is created. Okay, so like that you can create. If you want to delete, let's try to delete, and kubectl dot delete what, namespace. So let's copy that command from here itself. Yeah, delete namespace 1, and you know, in namespace 1, in my ns1, see, kubectl dot get pods from namespace my ns1. So 2 pods are there and both are running. And suppose if you want to delete this namespace, what will happen? Will it delete the pods? Yes, it will delete the pod also. This might take some time. It might take some time to delete, but definitely it will be get deleted. You like that, you try, you can delete my namespace 2, my namespace 3, dev, whatever you created, you can delete it. Okay, it will take some time. And if it is taking lot of time, then what you can do, you just simply Control Z, you do Control Z, and then go and check the namespaces. So you can see here, you can see the status of the namespace also. Terminating means deleting, because in my namespaces some pods are there, that pod has to be deleted, and if you want to delete the pod, then all the container has to be deleted. So all those process has to be done. Then response will come back to the master node, so it will be terminating. Simple. Status active. Active means this namespace is available, you can use it, but you should not use this default. You should use whatever you created, like active, my namespace, my ns2 active, my ns3 active, dev active, you can use. If it is status is terminating or something, you cannot use. Even if you use, it will be get deleted. Okay, so it will not allow to do that also. Fine. So like that you can try to delete your all the namespaces. Still it will definitely happen, will take some time. Okay, so like that you can work with namespace. You can use namespaces. How can you create the namespace, how can you get the namespace, how can you describe the namespace, how can you create the pod inside the namespace, how to delete the namespace, and how can you create the namespace using either YAML file or using JSON file. It's up to your choice, but most probably you should use always YAML file, because YAML is only being used. Okay, that's it. Fine. So that's all in this session, and we will see in our next session replica set. That is another object, same as pod and namespace. Replica set is another object inside Kubernetes. We will see in our next session. So thank you and have a nice day.